rain hammered against the windshield as David Chen pulled into the grocery store parking lot that Thursday evening. His 7-year-old daughter Emma sat in the back seat humming a tune from school, while his son Jake scrolled through his phone up front. It was supposed to be a quick trip for dinner ingredients before heading home to their warm house in the suburbs. David had no idea that the next 10 minutes would change everything. As he unbuckled his seatbelt, Emma suddenly pressed her face against the window. Her humming stopped. "David, what's that lady doing over there?" He followed his daughter's gaze toward the side of the building where the dumpsters sat behind a chain-link fence. Through the sheets of rain, he could barely make out a figure bent over one of the containers. His heart sank. A woman was digging through the garbage. She wore a thin jacket that clung to her frame, soaked through from the downpour. Her movements were methodical, almost practiced, as she carefully sorted through discarded items. Even from a distance, David could see her hands trembling either from cold or hunger, or both. She pulled out what looked like a half-eaten sandwich, examined it, and then without hesitation began to eat. Emma's voice cut through the silence in the car. "Daddy, why is she eating trash?" "That's not fair." The words hit David like a punch to the chest. That's not fair. Such simple words from a child who still believed the world should make sense. Who still believed that when something was wrong, it should be fixed. He sat there gripping the steering wheel, watching this woman survive on what others had thrown away, while his own family debated between pasta or chicken for dinner. Jake finally looked up from his phone. His 14-year-old face showed a flicker of discomfort before he quickly looked away. "That's messed up," he muttered. David noticed his son's hand instinctively move to his stomach as if suddenly aware of his own privilege. "We should help her," Emma said. It wasn't a question. It was a statement delivered with the absolute certainty that only a child possesses. The kind of certainty that adults lose somewhere along the way, buried under excuses about being late or busy or not knowing what to do. David felt something crack open inside him. How many times had he walked past suffering? How many times had he told himself that someone else would help, or that he didn't have time, or that it wasn't his responsibility? But sitting there with his daughter's words echoing in his ears, and that woman eating garbage in the rain, he couldn't look away anymore. "Stay here," he said, opening the car door. The rain immediately soaked his shirt, but he barely noticed. He walked toward the dumpsters, his shoes splashing through puddles. As he got closer, he could see the woman more clearly. She looked to be in her 50s, though hardship had a way of aging people beyond their years. Her hair hung in wet tangles around her face, and her shoes had holes that let the water in. She saw him approaching, and immediately tensed. Her eyes darted around looking for an escape route. David had seen that look before. The look of someone who had learned that people usually brought trouble, not help. He raised his hands slowly. "I'm not here to hurt you or tell you to leave. My daughter saw you from the car and we want to help. Can I buy you some food? A real meal?" The woman stared at him, suspicion and hope warring in her expression. She clutched the remains of the sandwich like it might be taken from her. "Why?" she asked. Her voice was rough from disuse or maybe from crying or both. "Because you're hungry," David said simply. "And because my little girl reminded me tonight that fairness isn't just something that happens. It's something we make happen." Tears welled up in the woman's eyes, mixing with the rain on her face. "I don't want charity," she whispered, but her voice cracked on the words, betraying her desperate need. "It's not charity," David said gently. "It's just dinner. Come on, let me buy you dinner." She hesitated for a long moment, then slowly nodded. "I'm Rebecca," she said so quietly he almost didn't hear. David led her back to the car. Emma immediately rolled down the window. "Hi, I'm Emma. You can share our umbrella? Except we don't have one, but Daddy has a jacket in the trunk." Rebecca's face softened at Emma's chatter. "Hi, Emma. Thank you for noticing me. A lot of people don't." They went inside the grocery store together, and David watched as Rebecca stood frozen in front of the deli counter. The array of hot food seemed to overwhelm her. "When was the last time you ate a real meal?" he asked. 3 days, she admitted. "I lost my job 6 months ago. Lost my apartment 2 months after that. I've been trying to find work, but no one wants to hire someone with no address. It's like being invisible." Jake, who had been quiet until now, suddenly spoke up. "That's like a catch-22. You can't get a job without an address, and you can't get an address without a job." His young voice carried genuine outrage at the injustice of it. Rebecca nodded. Exactly. I had a good life once. I was a school librarian. I loved my job. But then my husband got sick and the medical bills piled up. After he died, I just couldn't keep up with everything. It happened so fast. One day you're living a normal life and the next you're eating from dumpsters. David felt his throat tighten. He thought about his own comfortable life, his stable job, his healthy family. How much of it was luck? How thin was the line between security and catastrophe? Get whatever you want, he told Rebecca. And not just for tonight. Let's get you groceries that will last. What followed was the most unusual shopping trip of David's life. Emma insisted Rebecca needed vegetables and fruit. Jake researched shelters on his phone and found one that had openings. Rebecca moved through the store with increasing confidence, selecting items with careful consideration. David noticed she chose practical things: peanut butter, bread, canned soup, things that didn't need cooking or refrigeration. At the checkout line, Rebecca started crying. "I don't know how to thank you," she said. "You don't even know me." That's exactly why Emma said, because you shouldn't have to know somebody to be nice to them. David paid for the groceries, then drove Rebecca to the shelter Jake had found. But before she got out, he handed her an envelope. Inside was $500 and his business card. "This is to help you get back on your feet," he said. "And this is my number. I work in property management. I can't promise anything, but let me make some calls. Maybe I can help you find work." Rebecca held the envelope like it was made of gold. "Why are you doing this?" she asked again. David glanced back at Emma, who was watching the exchange with serious eyes. "'Cause my daughter taught me something tonight. She taught me that noticing isn't enough, that caring isn't enough, that sometimes you have to act even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. And she taught me that fairness is something we create, not something we wait for." On the drive home, the car was quiet. Finally, Emma spoke. "Daddy, do you think Rebecca will be okay?" "I think she's got a better chance now," David said. "And tomorrow I'm going to call some people I know, see if we can help her get that fresh start." 3 months later, David got a text with a photo. It was Rebecca standing in front of a library wearing a professional outfit and a huge smile. The caption read, "Started my new job today. Assistant librarian. Thank you for seeing me when I was invisible." David showed the photo to Emma, who beamed with pride. "See, Daddy, we made it fair." And in that moment, David realized his daughter had taught him the most important lesson of his life. That kindness isn't just a feeling, it's an action. It's stopping when others drive by. It's caring when it's easier not to. It's making the world fair, one person at a time. Because sometimes all it takes is one person brave enough to act and one child brave enough to say that's not fair to change someone's entire life. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Kindify Stories. Share this with someone who needs a reminder that compassion can change lives. Because every time we choose to see each other, to really see each other, we make the world a little more fair. And that's something worth spreading. Thank you for watching, and remember, the smallest act of kindness can create the biggest change.